the East Coast, West Coast thing got big because it sold records, you know what I mean? Because it sold magazines, because it helped ratings for TV and radio. I mean, a lot of it was about money as far as I'm concerned.
The media.
The media.
Media.
The media.
Media.
The media.
The media.
The media. The media.
Fuck the media. Fuck the media.
Fuck them motherfuckers.
Fuck the TV. Fuck the media. All right.
The media sees the so-called East Coast, West Coast war, keeping a curious audience current with blow-by-blow coverage. Many non-related events and grievances were attributed to the beef, and sensational coverage by magazines, radio stations, and television made artists, labels, and fans take sides.
Suspiciously, immediately following Shakur's shooting in New York on November 6th.
Fueled the growing East Coast versus West Coast battle.
The reported threats on Combs' life.
Night strikes a towering
Couldn't help but notice the huge biceps itching to bust through his shirt.
Heard there was a contract out on my life, said Combs.
East Coast, you know.
East Coast, West Coast war. Yeah, the Goodfellas thing was definitely purposeful. The whole mafia reference was definitely purposeful because at this point, Death Row was the most feared entity in the music industry. And we loved the fact that these cats agreed to pose in these black outfits. We thought it was hot, you know what I'm saying? Death Row Records had a publicist named George Price at the time. And in the middle of us laying out the cover, George Price calls and he says, whatever you do, make sure the letters on the cover are in red. You know what I'm saying?
I've had plenty problems with people that live on my block. They ain't start no whole Brooklyn thing like this, East, like Bed-Stuy against Brownsville. They ain't start no whole big thing like that.
Controversy sells.
The rappers didn't take it to another level. The companies took it to another level. My whole career was I had never been in an interview where they didn't ask me about East Coast, West Coast. East Coast, West Coast beef.
Ain't no real East Coast, West Coast beef.
Oh, you don't like Hammer, or you don't like Will Smith. You know, let's just get you to say you don't like somebody.
You could be, artists from wherever, from Wyoming, and they're gonna ask you, well, how do you feel about what's going on with such and such and such and such?
What about Eazy-E?
So are you happy at Death Row Records now?
But I ain't get on the camera to talk about that.
The interview nigga asked me a question about it in the magazine. He was like, yo, I heard boom, boom, you wasn't feeling with Jay-Z. I was like, yeah, you know what I'm saying? I think you're a bitch-ass nigga for saying that, you know what I'm saying?
No, I'm not gonna say it. Come on.
Now, when you make a statement, it's in the paper, you've taken a stance.
Bottom line, fuck that fat bitch.
When you're new in the game, you got an open mouth and you're not aware of the game they're playing with you, and you may open your mouth and say something about somebody that you didn't have to.
Fuck the source, all right? Source can suck a dick. Fuck them motherfuckers.
Can we say fuck Tim Dog on TV?
Say it. Fuck Tim Dog.
When you read your article, that's the piece that's blown up. That's in the big letters. You're like, oh.
And the stories kept coming. Rumors that Tupac had sex with Biggie Small's wife. That Tupac Shakur had been raped in prison. That Puffy had something to do with the death of Jake Robles, Suge Knight's close friend. March 1996. A gun is drawn as Death Row and Bad Boy square off at the Soul Train Awards in Los Angeles. As the tensions rose, the game's two premier MCs became opposing generals in hip-hop's civil war, whether they liked it or not.
And so here we are, with this magazine. And we know in the magazine world, even if something says September, it generally comes out like the month before, around the middle of the month before. And so East Coast, West Coast, by September 13th, Tupac is dead. 6 months later, Biggie is dead. And so this cover is actually kind of eerie, you know what I'm saying?
When you see a Vibe magazine, when you see Puff and Biggie on the cover and see East versus West, niggas in the hood don't read articles. They just see East versus West. Oh, it's on.
It's on.
When I see them niggas, it's on.
I think Vibe gets a lot of heat for that one, because it was such you remember what that cover looked like. And I think a lot of the people who probably worked at Vibe at that time still to this day feel kind of like, but Vibe wasn't the only people calling that beef that. Everybody was.
And it was crazy. It was just a crazy time. And I might say now, you know, I regret the media's role and stuff like this, but we really didn't realize how deeply we were into this. Most, I mean, if I'm only in my 30s now, I was in my 20s like most of us. You know what I'm saying? We were all kids documenting this thing. We're not even clear who we are, and we're dealing with this dominant youth culture of the day, and it's taking this very violent turn. It's this thing called East Coast, West Coast. We've never seen anything like this before, and we're just literally swept into it. It was insane, you know? There was no way to know where it was going. No way.